Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Good morning, family. This is your pastor, R.C. BlakesJr. I am always excited to be able to address you all over the nation, even in different parts of the world. Those of you that are in here live, those of you that will come in and watch the replay of this, it is such a blessing to address those of you who are members of New Home Church. Maybe you haven't made it back to the sanctuary just yet, but you're still there. We're still praying for you. We still love you. You're still a part of the family, and we keep coming to make certain that we minister to you. And of course, I thank God for all of you who are part of our cyber church community. Lisa and I are just so appreciative of you. I've been in this vein inside of the sanctuary, this series that I've entitled, loosely entitled, Thug Therapy. And thug is, there's an acronym for that. Traumatized human unable to grieve. There are so many that are sitting in the church, maybe now sitting at home, but love God and who love church, but are traumatized and find it almost impossible to express or release the pain from whatever life has thrown at you. And so as a consequence, be it pain from a bad relationship, be it pain from just life circumstances, be it pain from just situations, that we have as humans, things that are out of our control. Many of us, many times, probably most of us, all of us at certain times, find ourselves with broken hearts. And so I want to talk today about healing a broken heart. Now, I've taught this before in the past, but this is the kind of lesson that really can be revisited probably every quarter. That's how imperative it is to continue to hear the things that I'm getting ready to share with you now. Because most of us, especially in the church, are functioning with broken hearts. And to live with a broken heart, to try to function with a broken heart, is like an athlete trying to compete with a broken bone. If you go to Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 14, it says there, "The spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity, but a wounded spirit who can bear?" A wounded spirit, synonymous language to broken heart. A broken heart who can bear? Broken heart, a broken soul. Soul speaking of what? The mind, the will, the emotions. Traumatized souls is what we see on a daily basis on social media in the streets of the United States of America and the world. Broken souls are what we see piling into our sanctuaries on Sundays. A broken soul poisons the life of the person and everyone they encounter. You got to heal, not only for you, but you have to heal for the others that will be impacted by your presence. The intent of, when you think about why does the enemy invest so much time, so much effort into breaking us at the soul level, it's because the intent of the emotional injury is really not to impact the moment. The attack on the soul is really to strangle the future. In other words, the enemy is working right now to impact you in this moment with something, negative or difficult or whatever you may traumatizing. And his plan is that you will get locked, you will get soul tied to this moment that you can no longer move into the destiny or the future that God has for you. In fact, about it, the clearest evidence of a healthy soul, of a healthy heart, is a person that is able to forgive the past, forgive the former infractions, focus on the present challenges, and live for a brilliant future. A person who has a healthy soul is a person that is able to be present. A person whose soul is broken are affixed to the negative past, not even the positive past. They are affixed to the negative past. When the soul is broken, the person is divorced from him or herself. You forget who you are. You forget what you're worth. You forget where you're going. You are so consumed with what happened, how it happened, why it happened, how painful it was, that you can no longer see yourself as the Creator designed you. And listen to what Mark 8:36 says in the Message version of the Bible. It says, "What good would it do to get everything you want and lose you, the real you?" King James would read like this: "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and then lose his soul?" But I like the way the Message puts it: "Lose you, the real you." How many of you are watching me right now whose souls have been crushed and you've exercised no healing process, and as a consequence, you've lost touch with the real you? Now, let me give you A, B, C, and D of how to know your soul is broken, and then we'll get into this healing process. Letter A, you know that your soul is broken when you can't move on. Just kind of talked about that. You're kind of stuck. You're kind of, there's a vinyl record player to my right. And some of those albums I have are very, very old. Some of them are like original albums. And some of them have scratches on them. And when the vinyl record gets to it, when the needle comes to a point in the record where there's a scratch or an infraction, it gets stuck and it can't move on. It requires manual assistance to lift the needle out of the groove and to move it forward that it may continue playing the song. You know that your soul is broken when you can't move on. You're still talking about things that happened. Some of you all are returning to church almost 3 years later, 2.5, 3 years later, and you're talking about things that happened 2.5 years ago that you're still offended by. You need help. You need counsel. You need prayer, because you should have moved on from that by now. You cannot live a healthy life stuck in things that did not benefit you in the moment. Why would you transport this stuff into your future? You should have moved on. Letter B, you know that your soul is broken when you keep talking in the past. Even the positive things you talk about are things you did. You're not talking about things you're doing. You're not talking about things you're going to do. Your conversation, your focus is on the past, and mostly the negative past. They did this to me and they did that to me. And you're talking like this happened yesterday or last month. And you're talking about things that happened 10 years ago. Your soul is broken. Letter C, you can't make progress in your vision. You have a vision, but You say you have one, but you can't make any progress because your soul is polluted, and it's poisoning your progress because you can't have bitter and sweet coming out of the same fountain. You can't entertain negativity and have a positive life. First thing you need to do is to get your soul healed. Letter D, you're accomplishing a great deal, but you're not happy. Because your accomplishments many times are really to cover up the emptiness in your own soul. So you think that if I achieve this, and if I reach this goal, and if I accomplish that, if I accomplish this, that's going to make me happy. That's going to make me have a sense of fulfillment. And you never feel any sense of fulfillment. You feel like having an amazing wardrobe is going to make me happy. So you do shopping therapy, I think they call it. I call it mascara therapy, where you trying to dress up the pain on the outside to cover up the real hurt that's on the inside. Well, now let's look at this, what I call the healing process. Real practical and applicable. Number one, you're going to have to, if you're really going to bring healing to your soul, you're going to have to answer this question. Do I really want to be healed? And the reason this question, we have to start here, is because quite often as human beings, we complain about things that we don't really want to change. And we complain about things that we don't want to change because we find some sick sense of identity in the status, especially when it's the victim status. We find some sense of fulfillment in people feeling sorry for us about our stories. So if our stories were to take a positive turn, would we get that same kind of attention? Because a broken soul needs a lot of attention. And so there are a lot of things that we complain about. We don't really want them to change, because if it changed, we would no longer warrant the kind of attention we're getting, even if that attention is for something negative. Because as painful as dysfunction is, it also becomes a comfort zone when it's all you've known. You become a professional victim. So my question to you today is, do you really want to be healed? Do you want to be better? Because, we can take a professional prisoner, and a professional prisoner complains about jail and how this is wearing me out. I don't like this. This is killing me. And as soon as they release this joker, he finds another way to go right back to the same place he just got through complaining about. Why is that? It's because subconsciously that has become his dysfunctional norm. So though he complains about wanting to be free, he doesn't really want to be free, because that is his dysfunctional comfort zone. Jail is his address. And nothing will change until we can find a way to renew his mind. You can want better for him or for her all you want, until their minds are renewed and they really truly want to be healed, made whole, delivered. Nothing's going to change. You can keep putting your house up and getting them out of jail and all of this kind of thing, and they're going to keep finding a way to go back and go back and go back, because they have to answer this question: do I really want to be healed? In John chapter 5, verses 5 through 9, it says, "And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? Do you want to be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled." Simple yes or no question. He's going through all of this old lengthy, unnecessary talk I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I'm coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed and walk. Shut up and get up. And immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. Sometimes the supernatural power of God has already been released for your breakthrough, but God is waiting on you to simply get up. God is not going to do for you what you can do for yourself. I don't even see where Jesus gave him a hand. He just said, shut up and get up, man. And when he made an attempt, supernatural power kicked in and he was able to get up. And then he started running and leaping. Come on now. Because you have to answer the question, do I want to be healed? How would you respond to a life where you had nothing to complain about? How would you respond to a life where nothing was missing, nothing was broken? You're good financially, you're good relationally, you're good in terms of your health. You have nothing to complain about. What would life be like? For some of you, it would be a challenge because your soul is like that scratched record. It's stuck. It becomes a stronghold. Now you have to ask yourself, am I really ready to be made whole? Number two, you're going to have to adopt safe relationships. When your soul has been crushed and broken, the last thing you need is to be surrounded by people who have no sensitivity to to the delicate nature of your situation. People who have no sensitivity to your insecurities. People who are not concerned about your history and what you've gone through and say things that, compound your pain or do things sometimes ignorantly that trigger you. I say all the time, if you're around people that are constantly triggering you, you're in the wrong circle because the people that love you learn you, and people that learn you don't continue to do the things that constantly trigger you. They know where your triggers are and they help you to disengage them, but they don't constantly trigger you. You're going to have to adopt safe relationships. When you think about the woman at the well, she found deliverance when she met Jesus. When he came to meet her without the crowd, he didn't want anything from her. It was just she and him. They had a healthy, loving, divine conversation. He came for nothing but to heal her. And when he got through with her, she dropped her water pails, or water pots, and she ran into the city to tell the men, come see a man. Because that was probably her first safe encounter with a safe man. A sick soul will subconsciously long for the same type people that originally broke it. You have to be careful of that. You have to be careful of that. Because our lives typically rise or fall to the level our souls are set to. In 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1, it says, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. You can't just trust everybody. You can't trust your heart with everybody, because the last thing you need is to let the wrong person in your life that is not a healer, they will compound your issues. The third thing I will say to you is that you're going to have to be willing, if you're going to heal, you're going to have to be willing to have challenging conversations. Everything can't be ice cream and cake. You're going to have some challenging conversations. You're going to have to talk about some things that will, really engage your triggers, but sometimes those triggers have to be engaged to be disengaged. You're going to have conversation, because conversation is the cleanser of the soul. This is why most of us run from counsel. This is why a lot of people run from church, especially churches that are dealing with issues that dig deep into soul issues. They'll run to churches where it's just kind of Kool-Aid type preaching, and preacher really not dealing with much, not really challenging them, not challenging them morally, not challenging them intellectually, socially, psychologically, emotionally. People run from preachers like, that kind of deal with the kinds of things that I deal with, because the last thing people want to do is to have the conversation, because the conversation is like a mirror. It forces you to look at it. It forces you to look at it. Again, that woman at the well in John 4:28 and 29 says, the woman then left her water pot and went away into the city and said to the men, come see a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Christ? This lady was healed in the conversation with Jesus. And Jesus, like the ultimate therapist, made her face some truths she had been running from by simply asking her questions. Where's your husband? I don't have one. Oh, you said right. In fact, you've had 5, and the one you with now is not yours. So through the conversation, Jesus skillfully unpacked the stuff this lady had been trying to conceal and cover up, not realizing that it was putrefying in her soul, and it was showing up on her countenance and in her behavior. So Jesus kind of skillfully positioned this lady for the difficult conversations. Now, the fourth thing I'll say to you, if you're going to heal, you're going to have to overcome the bitterness. I called it, originally when I taught this, I called it, I said, you're going to have to stop sipping the poison of bitterness. People that continue to sip the poison of bitterness, it's like a person that's literally drinking poison because someone did them wrong, drinking poison, waiting for them to die. No. When you hold on to bitterness, you're not hurting anybody but yourself, to be honest with you. Forgiveness is a self-love strategy. That's good right there. Forgiveness, I've never said it like that. Forgiveness is a self-love strategy. Everybody thinks, oh, you letting them off the hook. No, you're letting you off of the hook, because you can't heal with that hook. You see, that hook can't stay in you. You know what I'm saying? As long as that hook is in you, you're going to constantly get infection. We got to get this hook out of you before you can heal. So you gotta stop sipping the poison of bitterness. Bitterness is an emotional commitment to remain adhered to a painful past. You're committed to staying stuck in a negative event in your past. You're committed to handcuffing yourself to someone that did you wrong, someone that's distasteful to you. But your commitment to bitterness is a commitment to remain stuck, adjoined to that person. Look what Hebrews 12 and 15 says. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. It's going to trouble you, and it's going to trouble those that love you. Don't you ever be deceived or believe that your bitterness stops with you. You can walk around with that bitterness, but it's going to spread to your children. It's going to spread to your spouse, your family. You got to understand that you become contagious, and that bitterness springs up, troubles you, and through it many are defiled. And then number 5, you gotta expose the thing. See, because I talked about that hook getting in. You got to get that hook out of you before you can really start the healing process. Because as long as that hook is in there, that thing is going to always be infected and, could have infection run through your whole system eventually. Or once you get that hook out and you apply, you maybe stitch it up and you apply whatever medicine, topical medicine, oral medicine you may take, antibiotics or whatever. The next best thing is to expose the wound to the open air. I know it looks horrible, but if you want it to heal faster, expose it, let it breathe, let it get air, let it get the natural air. So number 5, you got to expose the thing you've worked a lifetime to cover up. You see, you have the wound, but you're constantly trying to cover it for appearances. Who cares about appearances? Anybody that can't love me while I'm healing doesn't deserve to be that close up in my life anyway. Transparency is freedom. Transparency is freedom. You gotta expose the thing you've worked a lifetime to cover up. Speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And let the chips fall where they may. Because right now, we're not in the impression business. We're in the healing business. And the Bible does say in John 8:32, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You got to put yourself in a transparent predicament where you can't run from it. You expose it for what it is, and you allow God to bring healing to your soul. So my prayer for you today is that the Spirit of God will empower you to overcome this broken soul. Now, if you're there and you're saying, well, Pastor, I want to give my heart to the Lord, there's an email address on the screen. I want you to email us and let us know if you need to accept Jesus Christ, if you want to join New Home Church, if you want to become a part of the cyber church community, just let us know and someone's going to respond to you. Now, today, as we prepare to honor the Lord with the tithe and with our seed, I want every person that truly honors and loves God. You know that God is the giver of every good thing. You look at your life and you see how blessed you are. You know in your own heart that these blessings come from God. I want you to get the Lord's tithe and return it. If New Home Church is your church, and if you consider me to be your pastor, and this is where you're fed, this is where your tithe belongs. And I want you to get that together now. Get your tithe together now. And those of you that will sow the $56 seed, I've been asking you to sow. Those of you that will sow the $56 seed, I'm believing God on this Lord's Day for at least 300 of you to sow that $56 seed into New Home Church. That's what I'm believing God for. I'm believing God for you to sow the $56 seed into New Home Church. We got a lot of things going on, and the support of the ministry is vital. I want you, if you love God and if you love your church, and if you can truly say, this is where I'm ministered to, let me say this as well. You should never give grudgingly. You should never give because you feel pressured. You should never give to be seen. You should always be seen giving, but you should never give to be seen. You should give because you honor God, because you love God, because you love the ministry, because this ministry is really ministering to you. And if it is, I want you to prepare the Lord's tithe, and I want you to prepare the $56 seed, utilizing the apps that are on the screen, depending on what platform you're on. The links for giving may be in the description. But I want you to find an electronic means of sowing into New Home Church today. And I mean, do it now. Now, let me say this to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in our New Home East New Orleans location this morning for 9 a.m. if you're watching on Sunday morning originally, and New Home New Orleans Uptown for 10:30 a.m. First Lady Lisa and the team will be there at New Home Houston at 11 a.m. 4805 Shermire Road. New Home East is 13800 Hain Boulevard, and New Home New Orleans Uptown is 1616 Robert C. Blake Sr. Drive. Come and join us today at New Home Church, New Orleans or Houston, Texas. We would love to have you. Continue to give, continue to tithe, and remember this: you're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. So we will see you at the top. Keep giving, keep tithing. Love you.
We here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by RC Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by RC. You may find all books written by RC and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.